All right, everybody, welcome out to Windshield Time at Mountainlands Supply. I'm Joey. I'm here with Brandon, our CEO, and Spencer Shorts, our producer extraordinaire. Today, we are talking about our three uniques. The second one is employee-owned. So last week, we talked about being locally invested. Today, we're talking about being employee-owned. So the three uniques, just so everybody knows, they are distinguishers that no other company does those three things. The other thing that the three uniques are is if somebody walks up to you and says, hey, what's so special about Mountainland Supply? Then you should be able to rip those off to them. Well, we're locally invested, we're employee-owned, and we're relationship-focused. That's what makes us different than any other competitor. Yeah. You know, you should be able to just quickly rip those off. That's why they're there. It's like when they talk about the elevator speech, you should be able to rip off your core values and your three uniques, and then that should tell everybody about who your company is. So being employee-owned, you know, we wear that with great pride. We've been that way since 2018, and we've done
July 31st, by the way.
August 1st was our first full day.
But July 31st is when it actually was executed.
As a marketing person, 8118 just rolls off the tongue. Way better than 731. But technically you are correct.
I'll show you the documents.
So being employee-owned, I mean, we've done a little bit, or most of our podcasts somehow tie back to being employee-owned because it is at the heart of who we are. We did an ownership podcast because that is one of our core values. Yeah. But maybe for the three uniques, this takes a little bit different spin. They're within our peer group in any industry that we're in. There is no other employee-owned company that's locally invested and relationship-focused. You know, there are some employee-owned companies, an ESOP. Some of them are 100% like we are. Some of them are not 100% employee-owned. So there are peers out there that have employee ownership, but none of them invest locally the way that we do, and none of them do the things we do to support relationships. Yep. So as far as being unique and employee-owned, I think it takes a little bit different spin than our core value of ownership. What would you say to that?
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely tied together.
Yeah, for sure.
But it is a little bit different because the employee ownership, I mean, like you said, there's other companies that are employee-owned out there, but they don't do it the way that we do it. Right. And the cool thing about employee ownership or an ESOP is, I learned this very early on, is there's no two ESOPs alike. Right. Every ESOP is different. Yeah. And when I learned that, it was really about the plan document. And the plan document is a governing document that says this is how you're going to execute and administer the ESOP. Yeah. And so basically, if we have any kinds of questions about distributions or allocation or anything, that document tells you how to do that. And that's where I learned it really is, well, that document could be different. It's going to be different for every ESOP because of who wrote it and what they might put in it and how they want to do things. Just any kind of a legal document, it's always going to be different. Yeah. But really what I've done is now I've learned that it's even more so than that. It's the company and how we even go about being in an ESOP and how we talk about being an ESOP and how, you know, our culture around being an ESOP, employee ownership. It's all different than any other company. And there's some phenomenal ESOPs out there, but I'm going to tell you, we're not like them and they're not like us. Yeah. There's not even another ESOP company out there that is like us. Yeah. So I kind of look at that when we talk about it as being unique. Yeah. That's how I look at this employee ownership as well. Yeah. And really, for me, when it comes down to that, when we talk about employee ownership, we could get into the details of what does employee ownership mean. It means an allocation, it means a statement that you get. Right. But for me, I think it's our mentality that we have, that we worry about our employees. Yeah. And we worry about each other. That's the thing for me is employee ownership. It's what do our employees need, want, and take care of. Right.
And that is throughout our entire footprint.
Yep.
Every single branch that we have, that is the mentality. And they should operate individually that way, to have that focus on the employees. Yep. I remember through our association that we are a part of, ESCA, they set up town halls with different politicians. And really, it's because we are reliant upon a certain piece of legislation that protects us and allows us to be able to have a tax benefit for being employee owned.
Yeah.
And so we are dependent upon that to make it even doable from a fee standpoint. If we didn't have that benefit of having the tax savings, it wouldn't even be worth being an employee.
Nobody would be ESOP.
So because we're relying upon that, they do lobbying on our behalf. We actually go back and do that. We
do lobbying as well
yearly. So I remember one of those first town halls that they set up was with Congressman Curtis, who's out of Provo.
Yep.
And when he came in and visited us, first of all, he's a very sharp dressed guy. He's totally into socks.
Notice that's the thing that you worry about. I notice most is how they're dressed.
Right. Well, the reason why I bring that up is because we took him on a walk around the warehouse.
Yeah.
And it's not, our warehouses are not clean places. So we told him, hey, you cool with this? He's like, I'm way cool with this. I've been around warehouses all my life. So we take him out and we do the walk around, we do the tour, and he sees a product in our warehouse and he says, hey, I just bought one of those the other day. And I said, oh yeah, where'd you buy it from? And he tells me the name. It's a competitor that's, in Springville, and it's a irrigation part, so that should narrow it down to where people know who it is. But he told me that he bought it from them because he didn't know about Mountainland, really. He didn't know that we had those types of things. And he said, so what's different between you and that place? And I said, well, number one, we're employee owned. Everybody you see around here is an owner. Everybody you see is an owner. And that means something within the communities that you have to represent. And he took pause in that. And he's like, you know what? You're right. If I ever have anything else I need to buy, I'm not going to that other place. If that's true, then I want to go to a place where it's going to benefit that person who's picked that order for me.
Yep.
I don't want to go to a place where it's just going to go to the top and they get to decide, where those profits go. I want to go to a place where it means something in the community.
It doesn't benefit a small group.
Right. So I think it really does mean something, even outside of our company. It means something to our customers that we are employee owned. That driver that brings out the inventory to that job site is an owner. It would mean something to me even if I wasn't a member of an ESOP. If I was a consumer and I went to a company and it was employee owned, like Shields, I will support Shields over another outdoor supplier.
Yep. Because
it's employee owned. Those people who are helping me get a direct benefit because I purchased it from them.
Totally agree.
So I think it means something.
I totally agree. And when I talked about this just about a few weeks ago with some of our HVAC customers down in Mesquite, and I told them, I said, I hope you feel the difference.
Yeah.
Doing business with us. With every person that you interact with, because guess what? This is their company. Yeah. They should be acting different as they interact with you. Yeah. They should take pride in what they're doing. They should take ownership in what they're doing.
And you don't get that everywhere else.
You don't. And they, I think a lot of, as I've talked with, we talk to customers, we talk to people in the industry, vendors, vendor reps. And it's so funny because there's something different about you guys.
Yeah, they can't pinpoint it.
What's the difference? And, we got our 3 uniques for sure. And you try and talk to them a little bit about it, but they no. It's like, no, that's our, or the other one that I get is, what's your secret sauce?
Yeah, right.
Like, I can tell you all day long. I'm not, and you're going to think that I'm crazy, but here's our 3 uniques. This is what our secret sauce is. And you talk about ESOP, you talk about EOS, you talk about, this is our secret sauce. And they kind of, really? It's that simple? Yeah, it's that simple.
It's that people here give a crap about what's going on.
Yeah, because it's their company.
Yeah.
And, when you're making decisions, even a top down, it's making sure that whatever decisions we're doing it's in the benefit of 1,000 families.
Yeah.
It's making sure that we have 1,000 employee owners, that this is their company and we need to make sure that we do right by them.
And we make the decision that they would make if they were in the same position.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's just a different mentality. If you were a private equity, you would never worry about what my employees cared about.
It doesn't even be considered.
No, it would just be, what's the most profitable and how do I increase that bottom line? That's all I'm worried about.
So that I can sell it.
Because I want to turn it. I want to sell it in 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
Publicly traded is the same way. How do I increase my share value? Now we're worried about increasing our share value because we know that increases or adds to ESOP value.
Right.
And that's what we want for our employees. And so it's just a different mentality. It's a unique for us because I think it shapes how we go to market.
Yeah.
How every interaction that you have with an employee is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because now people care about what we're doing and how my customer reacts to that.
Right.
And it will lead into basically our next topic, that our next one that we have is relationships too.
Yeah.
How do we interact with each other with this? And so it's a beautiful thing to be able to have. Super grateful that we have it. I feel blessed that we can do this. And it was one of those things that you guys have heard me talk about it before, that when we were contemplating it, it took some time.
Yeah.
It was years for us to get to the point to say, okay, we are doing this. There was a lot of conferences, seminars. I mean, I learned so much, and I look back on it, I hardly knew anything about it, but I felt like I did so much to learn about, but I was barely scratching the surface on it. And I look back on it and I think, man, how did we ever make that decision? I'm surprised we made the decision. I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
But just with everything and how it was going, it's kind of amazing that we did. I think that it's definitely a blessing that we did, and it's been worth every little bit that we put into it, time-wise, effort. There's money that's related to this because there's upkeep that we have to pay
maintenance
professionals.
fees.
Yep. It's worth every bit that we put into this, because I've seen it change people's lives, and it is continually changing people's lives.
Yeah.
So well worth it. And it's honestly helped our business out too, I think.
I totally agree.
Because like you said, customers see it, vendors see it. I mean, they can feel it. I guess if they don't see it, they feel it, that there's a difference between us and our competitors, that they have to go, if they go do business with them.
Yeah. It really is a unique thing. And I think the more that our people, everybody out there, both windshield wipers that are listening right now, scream it from the rooftops.
The 10 of you.
Yeah. Go out there and tell everybody that is something that sets us apart. Make sure people know that we are different in a lot of good ways. We don't do it the same way other people do or other companies do. We are unique. So take the time, remember it, celebrate it.
Because it's your company.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and one last thing, I think we have a little bit of time. There's another concept too that with this that I really like is what I've seen in ESOP companies. They really focus on the actual employee and say, "Oh, you're the employee owner." For us, I feel like we've taken a step farther, and when we talk in front of spouses or significant others or families, I think it extends just past the employees, extends to those spouses and those significant others, to the kids, everything like that. And what's really cool is when you start seeing, we see it quite a bit. You see the family that's involved, and they get it, and they're dedicated to it. And so now when there's times that employees have to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
You got people rolling out of bed in the middle of the night. They're leaving a warm bed. They're leaving their spouse there, their significant other. They get it though, that there's a reason, and it's their company, and they treat it as an owner, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. And they get that benefit as well. And they take the ownership and the pride of Mountainland, which honestly, it's a cool thing. And I've said this a few times before. I think sometimes our spouses are better ambassadors of Mountainland than we are sometimes.
Totally. Yeah.
They do a phenomenal job, and they take pride in it, and this is our company.
Yeah. You said it, but it bears repeating that the sacrifices that our families make on behalf of the company are not small.
No.
And they're not few. There are many, many people out there who sacrifice every single day beyond what the scope of their duties are.
Yeah.
They go way out of their way, way beyond what they're supposed to do to make sure that this company runs smooth.
Yeah.
And that, I don't take that lightly.
No.
There's very few times that I'll drive, because I'll come into, the Orem location or the Spanish Fork location on the weekends, for a part that I'm doing or I need for a project I'm doing at the house or something. There are very few times that I come into either of those locations and there's not already somebody there.
Yeah.
And they're there servicing a customer. They're there taking care of somebody else's need. And they're not necessarily getting paid for that. Some of them are, some of them clock in for it, whatever. But a lot of times it's the branch manager, and that's beyond the scope of their duty, but they're doing it.
Yep.
Because they understand that that's what an employee owner does. That's what a business owner does.
Yeah.
And you guys are all owners in this business.
The other thing that I appreciate too is it's maybe related here. I might be going down a rabbit hole, so bear with me. If anybody knows me, I like to go down rabbit holes a little bit. My ADD kicks in. But to that point, the sacrifices, don't take it lightly.
Yeah.
We all sacrifice. And I think it's sometimes easy to look at the sacrifices we make and kind of internalize that or just, think about that. But I want this group to know that we recognize, you might not know this, but we do recognize it and we really appreciate it. I know that I appreciate it. And Joe, I think, I can say you do too. And I think with this comment too, you would agree with me. When I tell you thank you and I show gratitude for you, I hope it never comes across as it's just, because of who I am and the position that I'm in is, well, you always have to say thank you. No, I sincerely mean it. And the reason being is I know at the end of the day that I wouldn't have food on my table if it wasn't for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do this alone. Joey, you couldn't do it alone. We couldn't even do it together.
Yeah.
It takes every single one of us. It takes the driver. It takes the warehouse guy. It takes the counterman. It takes the inside sales, the sales guys, all the ops. I mean, if I missed anybody, all the back office stuff, finance, HR, purchasing, everybody.
Yep.
Hopefully I covered everybody. Marketing. Don't get mad at me if I forgot you. But it takes every single one of us. And I recognize that because of that delivery guy, I'm able to put food on my table.
Yeah.
I'm able to feed the bellies of my kids, put shoes on their feet, take care of them, provide them a roof over their heads. It's not because of me. It's because of that person right there.
Yep.
And I'm just so grateful and feel often very blessed and humble that I get to work at an organization with such wonderful people.
Yep.
Such wonderful people. Honestly, that's why I tell you that's my biggest one driver of why I do what I do.
Yep.
It's because of the 1,000 families. It's 1,000 people because I know that you guys are working your asses off. I'm sorry. Beep that one out. I look at that and I feel that. And that's what makes me have the drive to go do the things I need to do is because I know you're doing it and I want to be right there doing it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we don't take it lightly.
No.
And the families are sacrificing right along with it.
Exactly.
Every time that person has to leave, somebody's picking up the loose ends at the house. Every time the kid doesn't get that, that parent at their baseball game because they had to go out of town or whatever it is, there are so many sacrifices that happen out there that go unnoticed, but don't think that they go unnoticed by us.
Yeah.
Don't think that we're not respectful of it and that we're not grateful for it because we are.
Yeah. It's humbling to think about that and to hear about those.
100%.
So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. We, from the bottom of my heart, we really appreciate you. Joey and I just immensely appreciate and have gratitude for everything that everybody does in this company. So,
yeah, you're all great. We love you all. Thanks for jumping in with us today, and we'll see you on the next one.
Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.